Riverside.
Tim, it's the 100th episode of Kirkwood and Dunn.
We did it.
We did it. And the only
wow.
And the only way to like celebrate our 100th episode is to get additional people so people don't have to listen to just us. Like that's kind of how this goes, right?
That's the best strategy. Actually, thank everybody for, putting up with us for the first 99. Now we're ready to hand it off to real people who know what they're talking about, expanding the Kirkwood and Dunn universe to actual ball knowers.
Well, we do have some regular host/guest, and that's Alec Keeser from the Voice of College Football in Indiana, and Jamie Jordan from Hoosier Huddle and IU Reactionary. But we do have an even special guest. We've been teasing it all week that we have a special guest. I'm thinking like we're recording this like early. I'm thinking about making a silhouette, but making sure the hair puffs out. So people are like, is that Heather Dinich? Is she going to be no.
Brutal. No, oh my God.
No, it's not. That's called a tease, guys. That's content game. All right. No, it's not Heather. It's the Indiana Podfather himself, CrimsonCast, Back Home Network, Galen Clavio. Galen, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me on, guys, and congratulations on 100. They always say what the average podcast has 3 episodes, so you've exceeded that by a bunch already. Congratulations.
Man, go back and listen to those early episodes. I mean, I'm sure you have that too, Galen and Alec, for your stuff. It's brutal.
We got lucky because, in the lore of CrimsonCast, Egyptian hackers took the site down twice in the first 3 years and deleted all the early episodes. So, yeah, those are like the black and white episodes of Gilligan's Island. Like we just pretend they don't exist generally.
Yeah, I love that. Like it's gone, and someone in Egypt is listening to Scott and Galen talk about. I don't know when was the intro? Yeah, the intro music. Let's
right.
listen to that. All right. Well, we are doing something special for the 100th episode. We are pre-recording this so that I can do some editing. My hope is that I get to every single moment put in a clip of the moment. And so it's going to be a really long episode. If YouTube takes that down, it's going to be just picture of a moment or something like that. But I have some editing to do for the next few days. And so we're going to release this, and people are getting this probably on Wednesday or Thursday of the March week. Was March 3rd? Is the March 3rd is coming up, the week of March 3rd. And then we're not doing a Sunday episode, just so you know. So this is going to be a long 100th episode for people to do it. This is an interactive draft in terms of we want you as the listener to be voting on this. And at the end of the draft, there will actually be a QR code on the screen that you can vote on. If you listen, you get an extra additional vote because it will be up for about 24 to 36 hours without putting it on social media. And then after 36 hours, we will put it on social media to get for you to vote on who you thought was the best, had the best collection of moments from the Cignetti era. And that's the goal, is to capture that. And so this is a draft. It's kind of, we're putting our team together for it. Guys, do you have any questions? My wife's standing here. She got up here early, so, I'm feeling the pressure of that. But do you guys have any questions about the draft and what we're doing? We'll explain a little bit for our audience.
Well, Trent, I had a question, but I mean, we kind of went over it already. But the kind of the hardest part I had with putting together my board was trying to figure out if we were doing like individual moments or if we were doing like full games. The example I sent to you was like, is somebody going to pick the entire trip to Kinnick, or is it going to be specific plays from that game? We talked about specific plays from that game, so obviously makes your job a little bit harder as an editor. But
I think that was key. You can't take kind of a broad umbrella. So, some examples that we were sharing offline was the game. Like you can't take the Iowa game there because there's specific moments in the Iowa game that you might take. You can't take all coaches bending over at the knees. Right. Like you have to take specific coaches. The other element of this draft is like if one of us feels like it's too broad, then you can say like, I want to veto that pick and explain why, and we would vote on if something's getting vetoed. So we kind of police ourselves in terms of that moment. But for sake of the draft, it is moments. And one other element is it's on or off field. So Galen might take road trip to Kinnick because he road tripped every single place, but it's actually a specific him being in the road. Now, there's another, we don't tip picks either, so we can't say what's coming, but he might take a certain caravan that traveled across the country at different times in the postseason.
Can we take all Buc-ee's across the country as like the nice pit stop? That's off the board. No Buc-ee's are allowed to be picked.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, I think it's pretty straightforward. And just so you all know as the audience, at the end, there's only going to be 4 that's going to be put up for vote. There's 5 of us. So we're all going to vote for who doesn't get put up for vote. So basically, who had the worst draft of this group. So that should be fun at the end. Okay, so there is a little game theory. We do a snake draft. It's 1 through 25 picks, 5 rounds. And the 5th person drafting in the first round gets to go back to back, and then it snakes all the way back around. So we're going to pick our draft order. So what we're going to do, she now stepped out of the room. I think there she is. Okay. So we're going to say 1 through 5, and I'm going to ask you in order of you pick a number between 1 and 5, and Marissa's got a number in her head. Again, this is, as I said in the previous podcast, this is my only way that I get Marissa to listen to this podcast is to do a draft and include her in the podcast. So, all right. So we're going to go first. Alec, pick a number between 1 and 5.
I'm going to go with good old number 4, Aiden Fisher.
No. Jamie Jordan. Pick a number between 1 and 5. 1. No. Galen, pick a number between 1 and 5.
3.
3. Nope. And Tim,
2.
Pick a number between 1 and 5. 2. Okay. So Tim, go ahead. Man, I told you, like, it's not going to be me. It could have been me there, but Tim, what pick?
I'm glad that this is not rigged.
Rigged.
It's our 100th episode, guys.
I think I want to sit in the middle. I'm going to go number 3 overall.
All right. Tim is going to take the 3rd pick. All right. So we will go back to me. It's 1 through 4. I'm going to go 2. Nope. Okay. Alec? 1 through 4.
Stick with 4.
4. It is 4. Alec, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm taking 101. There's no hesitation there. I'll make my first choice and I'll watch the draft.
Alec is going number 1. Jamie, 1 through 3.
I'm going to go 2.
2. No. Galen, 1 through 3.
3.
3. No. Okay, I'm going to go with 1. I am going to take the 5th pick. Try to be top heavy here. All right. Jamie, 1 through 2.
Give me 1.
1. All right, Jamie. Do you want the 2nd or 4th pick?
I want the 2nd. Give me number 2.
All right. Jamie's going with the number 2. And Galen, you are going the 4th pick. All right. Thanks, Marissa. You did great. All right.
Way to go, Marissa.
Yeah, she did awesome. She's already gone. She's gone. I'm sorry she didn't shut the door behind her. Yeah. She'll watch the pod. She'll watch this. All right. We're gonna go Alec, the best moments in the Cignetti era. So we did define this after Tom Allen was let go to the present day. So Alec, what is your number 1 overall?
It's funny. I was very confident about this one, and the first time I wrote my big board down, it wasn't number 1. But I actually don't think there's any question. It's 4th and Mendoza.
He's going to take off and run. Mendoza weaves his way first and goal, diving toward the end zone.
It's the most important play of the season. I know it wasn't the end of that game. It wasn't even there was other things that happened in that football game even after that point. But just for the moment it was to like send the field goal unit out onto the field and then be like, no, we're going for it. And the stress of that moment. And then Mendoza takes the snap and it's like an immediate decision to take off. And it's like all time stops. And then you get him running over Wesley Bissain and you get him trucking over a couple people. And it's like every little, like the most beautiful parts of this Indiana football team where it's like the toughness and the downfield blocking and the selflessness. And then it's just the movie-esque heroicism from Fernando Mendoza is just, I think 4th and Mendoza is far and away the number 1 moment of the Curt Cignetti era.
Go ahead, Galen.
I mean,
I thought you were going to react to it.
I mean, I'd love to have something negative to say about that, but I think that he's 100% right. I know that you said you didn't want to hear that, but I mean, what are you going to say?
That was 1-1 for sure.
It was clearly 1-1. I mean, if we're doing if we're doing like a college football iconic moments draft, that's going to get on the board and is probably a first rounder. And I know we're all biased Indiana fans, but it's only getting stronger as we get away from it, which is kind of wild.
It's probably the one piece of IU football social media content that I've legitimately liked, retweeted, whatever, over 1,000 times. Like truly, that is in that it's a pantheon that nothing else has ever touched. Really,
the happiest form of engagement farming we will ever. Engage in. Yes.
Well, I think that what captured it for me is that there's literally like 30 angles. There's a field angle. There's all kinds of different angles of it, and it's like you can see some of them. You can see the crowd, and you could just hearing the roar, the that kind of stuff. It was just like, I mean, I was sprinting around the house. So, I mean, just insane.
And the number
that didn't win the game either. So like.
The number of calls, like you got the Don Fisher call, you've got the Chris Fowler call, and then you've got the Spanish speaking call. That is fantastic. Yeah. That's maybe my favorite call of all of them. I don't know what they're saying, but you're exactly right. It's the Watt shot on steroids, because it, my opinion on the Watt shot.
It's the Watt shot, but it meant something at the end.
Yay, Galen said it. Okay, I didn't have to be the.
I was there, man. I think I've said this. The Watt shot. I was there, and it was my bachelor party night.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes, there's a whole other part of lore about that. I love Watt, but I love the Watt shot. But this. I mean, they won a national title because of this play.
Yeah, a little different. Yeah, a little different.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
All
right, Jamie.
Real quick.
Go ahead, Alec.
The full circle moment of him trucking Basaint, the guy who, because when Cal went and played Miami last year, and it's the non-targeting call that should have been called, and they lose that game by, people still have a strong argument Cal should have won it. So it's like for all of it to come full circle in that one play, it's like I don't even know how that play could have gotten better, but
it was pretty awesome. All right, Jamie, second pick in the first round.
So for me, this is, as I said before we started, there's like a 1B, and for me it was because of the way that you could just tell that like the collective when Cignetti goes up there and raises the championship trophy and all the players are behind him, and you can just tell that there's just like this collective, like we did this thing that we had been striving to do. And I felt like just watching him put up the trophy, and I was like, this is what we opined on for so long, and to just have it happen now and see all the hard work that they put in the last 2 years, to me that's the second choice. It's the raising of the trophy with all the guys behind him on the stage in Miami.
National champions, Coach Curt Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers.
The whole college. I mean, it was the biggest audience, and the second biggest audience of all time, seeing Indiana University football raising a championship trophy. To me, that was my second one behind the 4th and Mendoza, which I thought was just, clearly the number one, but just what happened after that and getting to that point to me was number 2, just because it's an iconic moment that I have a picture, which is not up yet, but it will be up of with the confetti and Cignetti holding the trophy. So that's my number 2.
I got something to do with this. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Wow.
All right.
We have props.
Oh, yes. We're going to reenact it.
Yes.
We're reenacting it.
Yes.
Let's go. And it's got the IU logo on it.
There it is.
Yes.
That's
amazing. Incredible.
That's what I got to get.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is why place, isn't it?
This is why you got to watch on Spotify or YouTube, because you'd be able to see Galen lifting the trophy there. I'm going to be honest. I didn't have a first round grade on this.
Really?
I know.
I thought it was there were different ways to basically define winning the national championship, and however you wanted to pick a play or pick a moment to this was the actual winning of the championship. I felt like that was a top tier pick. However you defined it, Jamie went a different way than I would have, but that's still, in my mind, could be more 1-1 than Mendoza.
See, that's why I said before we started that I felt like there was a 1A, 1B, and I actually think there's a 1C, which was my next one, which was like why I wanted. I was actually hoping I didn't I should have probably picked later because I felt like number 1, 2, and 3 are kind of from that game. And that was my next one. And maybe I could have gone that way. Hopefully I don't get voted off because of this silly pick at number 2. I'm being trashed already. Oh my God.
No. So I'm gonna say something very snooty. Is I think part of this for me is that since I was there, and Galen, I know you were down. Were you on the field for this moment?
Oh,
okay, yeah.
There's a great shot of me bawling my eyes out in the general crowd right in front of the podium. Yeah.
I was way back. I was in Miami section, so I was in the opposite section of there, and we had moved down to like watch it. But I think because of that, I didn't really get to experience that true close-up moment live. And the sound in the stadium and the quality of like that wasn't the best compared to like rewatching it on TV for obvious reasons. So I think that's why I use for Kirkwood and Dunn, we use that clip all the time. So I'm being hypocritical here, but I think that's why it just didn't resonate to me compared to what you're probably insinuating 1C is. So yeah, but any other thoughts?
Not that I was surprised that it went in the first round, but that's like the coupling the off the field, like, I guess, achievements to like what the on the field plays led to is such an interesting way to look at it. Like, I like Tim's explanation of it is like whatever you thought the winning the championship was, whatever that moment was, makes a lot of sense. I'm with Tim though. I don't know if I would have had it in that way, but I also, Jamie, you got to present this thing with a strong argument.
Right.
Like,
but Jamie, listen, that's the thing. But Jamie has the title. Like I've got as my pick is like winning the title. So
Jamie. Let me put it this way though. So for me, like after they won, after the Mendoza run thing, to me, I remember I just stood in my, I've been a fan of this team since I was an 18-year-old doing Dr. Gary Sales's 5 hours in the football office for Jerry friggin' DiNardo. So like this has been like this thing that has been building in me, and I've always been like, oh no, they're gonna do it next year. This is it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. So for me to get to that point where the title is there and I'm just standing in my living room at like 1 a.m. completely speechless. And I've said this before, I'm a person that the only thing that's close to this for me is I'm a Red Sox fan. So it's a 04 Red Sox, the vanquishing of the Yankees. And still it's different because the Red Sox were like, they cared about baseball and they put resources into it. It wasn't just this like thing that all of a sudden just happened. There was a building of the brand and all this stuff that led to this moment. And I felt like with IU, it happened so quickly. And it was just a stunning moment to see my coach and my team on the field in Miami in the national title game, holding up a trophy that I had never even thought was, I picked them to win 9 games this year. So, it was something I never thought would happen. I thought they would be a good team. I just thought that they would probably win 9 to 10 games. And that was, we'd make the playoff and that. And so seeing that and remembering that situation where I'm just standing in my living room in shock, utter shock, for like 30 minutes or so while they're doing the stuff on the field. I just remember that moment. It was just like, wow, this is like life-changing for the IU, well, the fan base, but also for the school, the program. Like it's just such a huge thing for the state even. And we're seeing it. I mean, even now with all the stuff that's happening, I mean, they're killing it with social media now. I mean, they haven't let the moment. They've continued the moment, even though the season's over, and I'm just couldn't be more happy about it. And I felt like that situation, exactly that time when he raises that trophy, was like the culmination of all the stuff that had happened. So hopefully I made a little bit of a better argument. I don't get immediately booted here for my non-first round grade pick.
Well, you didn't even mention like the symbolism of it was all the James Madison players behind him, which was really cool.
True. No, you're totally right.
That's there. All right, Tim. Anybody else? No, Tim, you want to take your third pick?
I'm going to get to, this is really tough. I had the first option to choose. So I was like, to me, there were 3 potential 1-1s. And I was like, I'm going to take whatever is left over. And then I'll get the quick on the wraparound. My pick, I think is harder for me, was the thing that would have been harder to visualize for Indiana football than winning the national title. And that's Fernando Mendoza winning the Heisman Trophy.
The winner of the 2025 Heisman Trophy is Fernando Mendoza.
The Heisman Trophy is a popularity vote contest. It is the belle of the ball. It is like the like respect from the old school media types, from the Paul Feinbaums of the world, whatever else. That always seemed more impossible than IU winning the title, because as we'll talk, I'm not going to tip picks, but like we had now made a playoff. Like the idea of like kind of winning some games, things can go our way, like whatever. Like that was still possible. The idea of winning the Heisman Trophy never seemed remotely within reach. And that to me is like a huge marker of success of the Cignetti era. It's the player development, it's all of those things, and then it's the respect from everybody else recognizing the achievements, in particular of one person. But I think it's also the point where all of us fell in love with Fernando, the player, the guy, the teammate, the leader. It was unbelievable to see, to be able to have that night, and for all of us just to be watching. Although Trent was very worried, I think the rest of us were quite confident that he was going to win it. But to watch and know it and see the celebration of IU and Fernando, that's going to be my first pick at number 3 overall.
I enjoy the fact that felt like it wasn't a grassroots movement, because to your point, it's a popularity contest and you need the entire, like pretty much you need buy-in from a majority of the voters. But like to have like what felt like the Indiana fan base, like White Boy Rick starts like Heisman Mendoza, and then all of a sudden like the Indiana football accounts putting out a graphic and my tweets in like the bottom of the graphic under Mendoza, like that blew my mind. That was like in my honorable mentions. Like, yeah, full blown, like the fact that like our guy was up there and it was like exactly who we thought he was and who he showed us to be. Is exactly who he was and is. Unbelievable moment for both the program and for Fernando.
Yeah, so that was my, like, for me, that was my one between the title thing for me, because like, there's just such a finite amount of Heisman Trophy winners, and to have your team's guy be in there. But it's not just that. Like, I know that they're all good guys, but like Fernando Mendoza is genuinely a very likable character, and his speech was amazing, and like it was just. I'm not saying that I don't want to denigrate other people's speeches up there, because I do watch it typically. I just felt like, and again, this could be a biased thing, but the way that he presented himself, the university, obviously Cignetti, and the program was just like, it's a time that IU, again, I guess, but IU made it. And, this is the guy that's the face of the quote unquote franchise. And he's an awesome dude, and he's super likable, and he's selfless, and he does all these things that you hope that you have a player that does, that ends up being the face of your franchise and the face of your brand. And it's just, we couldn't have asked for a better ambassador for Indiana football. And so this was my moment between those three. That was also my like 1C essentially.
Yeah, I screamed like he scored a touchdown. Like I was like finally there, because to Tim's point, it's not that I thought there was a chance he wouldn't win it, and obviously he dominated it, because it felt like the moment that Indiana finally got some respect about what they were doing, because who votes on that is
validation,
the media and validation. And like I was so nervous in the Big Ten championship game, not just to win the Big Ten championship, but that I needed Mendoza to do well, better than saying, so that Mendoza would win the Heisman. Like, that's the intensity I felt. Like Wisconsin, I was like, we're not passing the ball. Like, we're not going to get the stats. Or he struggled against Purdue, being really cold. Like, struggled. I mean, I think he still got a couple rushing touchdowns in that game. But, like, that type of intensity at the end of the season kind of came out in that moment. So I think it's a great pick. All right, Galen, you ready for your pick?
Let's do it. And hopefully this isn't too broad, but I am going with the Big Ten title game podium experience.
Yeah.
It's, if I had to summarize it in one thing, it is Aiden Fisher having us all sing that damn song in Lucas Oil Stadium.
He wants to sing that damn song. I said a 1, a 2, a you know what to do.
But the catharsis of that moment. I'm big on catharsis with a lot of these moments. I'll say that. I mean, to beat Ohio State for the first time since the 1980s, to win the first Big Ten title for the program since 1967, to do it the way that they did. I mean, it was emotionally uplifting and also exhausting. I was both buzzed and completely dead inside for about 72 hours after that, and just to see it all culminate up there, and just the almost like surreal experience, whether you were watching on television or in the stadium, of watching Indiana up there getting championship trophy for the Big Ten and having beaten Ohio State. I mean, it's something I'll never forget.
It's the old adage, like, you don't forget your first time. And, like, seeing an Indiana trophy with confetti in the background being raised, like, that was the first time we saw it. We ended up seeing it 3 more times, but, like, that was I was in disbelief still when I was watching that. Like, it felt like an out-of-body experience. I think it's a great pick.
Well, I agree. I was planning on kind of trashing that, like trashing some of you guys because you guys got me before. But no, I agree with that. Like that whole OSU that was a vanquishing of the Yankees, in my opinion, of OSU, who had just the year before you had Howard stamping out the cigarette, and it was just like, okay, and then we just beat you on the biggest stage and essentially ended their season because they lost the next game. So. I totally agree. That was the catharsis of that moment to me was even bigger than it was bigger than the Peach Bowl. I kind of just had a feeling that they were going to be good in both of those bowl games. Obviously, Rose Bowl is a little bit different. That's for a little bit later, probably. But that one and the national championship one to me are by far the biggest, like, winning moment things that for this program. So that I like the pick.
Alec? I was going to say, like, I don't think you could take the Big Ten championship game over the national championship game podium stuff because of just the magnitude. But I will, Jamie, here, I will criticize Galen here. It wasn't, I don't think it was the best moment from the Big Ten championship game. Like, that does not encapsulate the Big Ten championship game for me.
And look, to be fair, I did go back and forth on it. I really did. But I settled on that. I think there's arguments to be made other ways, but that's how important that game was.
Yeah. And there will be times, like, that was an opposite. I wasn't at Lucas Oil Stadium. So, like, you all getting to sing and stuff probably was more special and rememberable than what I had. So, like, I will say that there will be personal elements to this. Like, I remember where I was and, like, that special moment. And so I would understand why that is. Any other thoughts on that, Alec?
Well, I'll push back on the notion that I think you could make an argument, and I was actually one of those people making this argument, that if you were tasked with, would you rather have a Big Ten championship over Ohio State or a national championship over whoever, and it meant beating Ohio State for the first time in 30 years or whatever the number was, and I may have been one of those people making the argument for I'd rather have a Big Ten championship.
It's a bold claim.
Now listen, hindsight being 2020, thank God we won it all, so I don't have to be the one doing it.
It's like the previous year when people were like, we really need to pick up a bowl win, so maybe we can go to college football playoff. It's like, okay, guys, sure.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, there's a lot of good picks left on the board. So I'm like nervous because there's a couple things that I think are a little outside the box that could get back to me if you guys don't go that way. But I think I got to go with my heart here. I would have taken this second overall, so I'm going to just go ahead and do it. Jamari Sharp interception of Carson Beck.
Steps up, delivers downfield, intercepted!
Like, that like, I agree that the 4th and Mendoza is the moment from that game. But just the element of being so nervous. I was so nervous. I was daunted. I will admit that. We should do a daunted spectrum draft, like where we were, the most daunted we were, especially after the penalty on Landino, them getting 2 straight completions. We call timeout. It obviously, in hindsight, it looks like a genius timeout just to get us to catch our breath and stuff like that. But there was an element of, like, it's not only to catch our breath, but we were kind of on our heels a little bit. And that was, it wasn't even so much because I know I'm speaking to a lot of wounded Indiana fans, football fans on this podcast right now and listening to this podcast. And you all were thinking, this is so Indiana football at that moment. And I've heard Galen talk about that on his pod. What I was thinking was, this is so college football. For the first time, someone's risen up to win a game or win a national championship out of nowhere. Oregon's tried for years, and a traditional national championship power or whatever is going to end up winning. And this is so frustrating. And I was angry around all these Miami fans. Jamari Sharp intercepts the ball. I black out. I don't really remember what I did in that moment because all the Miami fans were pissed, and Marissa and I are like just screaming and all this stuff. Watching the replays and Chris Fowler's call of it was amazing. It's obviously more it's funnier because Cignetti yelled at him for getting the penalty call.
Whoa! Don't tip other picks. Don't tip other picks.
My bad.
There can be other moments surrounding this.
Okay, my bad.
Oh, wait, this is good
things that happened around it.
Would you consider those separate moments? Because I, funny enough, also had this number 2 on my board, and for a lot of the reasons that Trent was about to get into. So I'm glad
I think that's a very separate moment because it's like it's well after the play. Like there are other things that have to happen. But anyway, it is a good pick.
I'll finish with this because I don't think this is part of your thing. One, if Tim's taking that on his board with how many moments Tim's going to lose this draft. So I'm not really worried about that.
So I'm just saying round 5 draft, okay?
The second element is Carson Beck like putting his hands on his head, surrender Cobra, like staring about what happened after he just underthrew the ball like crazy. That is also part of that moment that is going to be included in my moment. So that's there. Okay. Reactions to that. Sorry. I love that bit.
I love it. I mean, I think that was also, that's how I would have defined winning the national championship game. To me, like the better part of it is like, it's just Carson Beck throwing a lame duck ball. And like, you can, as the play is happening, you're watching this ball come in 15 yards underthrown, and you're like, oh, thank God. Maybe he'll catch it, maybe he won't. But like in those split seconds, as I was watching that pass, I'm like, oh, great, this isn't going over anybody's head. And it's an easy catch. I think it's a great pick.
This is one where I think being in the stadium actually almost deadened the impact a little bit for me from where I was sitting, because I couldn't tell what was going to happen until Sharp intercepted the ball. So it was more just a shock. And I feel like with some of the other plays that may get drafted here, there's a lot more immediate emotional impact. This was almost like a delayed reaction to some degree. I agree. It's like it summarizes, it's the end of the national championship game for all intents and purposes. I had it a little lower on my board though, because it felt like there were more like over the top in the moment, meaningful moments, even though that sounds a little bit weird to say now,
Well, no,
it was on my side, Galen. So that's one of the reasons why I think it is bigger for me because I was right there.
But I agree with Galen because like one of the things so I was nervous that they were going to dink and dunk down the field because for me the Carson Beck, he was horrendous all year against zone. That was just like a fact that everyone knew. He also has a noodle arm. Like he can't make the throws that Mendoza can make. So like trying to layer it over the corner and with the safety coming over the top, that's a throw that I know that he cannot make. So to me, like I agree that it was like that was high on my board. But I also think that, like, as I was watching, I was more nervous that they were going to continue, like, dinking and dunking it down the field after the horrendous penalty on Landino, that they were just going to go slowly down the field. I know that there was time constraints, but, they were moving the ball down the field pretty easily. I mean, so him going deep, I was obviously nervous, but it was also like, hell yeah, like, try to push it down the field, man, because that's exactly where you are going to screw up. And he did. And I was happy about that. But I agree. Really, I mean, obviously just a massive play for the entire program the last 2 years under Cignetti, and sealing the national title. So
I am, anybody else, any other reaction? The other note I'll put is that him being a Miami kid and his uncle was the one that got that pass interference call. I mean, that's scripted, like the college football story stuff. Okay. So I have like 3 that I know won't get back to me that I really want to take, but I think I'm going to play to the audience here. The Pons interception in the Peach Bowl.
De'Aaron Hill Jr. is the running back. The quick pass is intercepted. It's going to be run in for an Indiana touchdown. D'Angelo Pons.
Like, it was one of the greatest sports live moments I've ever been a part of. It was shocking. Like it was one of those, because I had just gotten done, like every game I like recorded the kickoff and all that stuff. I didn't record the first snap because I didn't think anything was going to happen in the first snap. And I just put my phone down and I looked up, and it was like, that's when Dante Moore was kind of looking to his left. And and not that I predicted it at all. I will note that I did turn to our group, and Tim can back me up on this. And I said that we were going to get an interception on this drive, but it didn't happen on the first play. But Pons doing that, and how loud it was. I'm going to include this in my pick, Tim, just in case you were wanting to break this off. The Cignetti pose that he gave afterwards. Also, it being Pons, like just representing so much of what Indiana has become after Cignetti took the job. That was definitely one of the better moments and iconic moments. As part of this pick,
do you also get the fact that we were jumping up and down together and my pants fell down to my ankles? Is that part of your pick here as well as a top moment? I think that's included in the play, is that I was in the middle of the Peach Bowl and my pants were at my ankles.
That only happened. You weren't even at 100 episodes yet, guys.
And not only that, but he was surrounded by Oregon fans. So they're like, "Oh, this is a nudist colony? Okay, let's go." Like they were excited for that one.
It was good preview of the de-pantsing they got the rest of the game.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the top moment from that moment, in my opinion, and that game. So like I want to get that before we swing back around.
Good. It's a good pick. Smart pick.
I feel like you missed my favorite part of that play, which is Pons purposefully running into the middle of the field so Moore would bounce off of him as he went into the end zone.
Yeah, he was like looking for contact.
He angles right back towards him.
Yeah.
And then he ends it off by breaking the O. It was incredible.
Yeah. We love to break the O.
He was not messing around. Like, he was like, I want to get hit by Moore. I want to bounce off of him, and I want to just do the Cignetti and then break the O. I mean, it was just like ended the whole. I mean, the game was just over. To me, I didn't think that game was going to be that close. To be totally honest, I thought that I think Alec, I was on with you guys when we talked about like the missing of the two coordinators. Like I felt like that was a massive thing in that game that wasn't getting discussed nearly enough. They also had only a couple of running backs. I mean, they had a couple of the scripted drives. Drive was very good.
They scored on their first real drive.
Yeah. That was when I was like, oh, okay, maybe it'll be a little bit closer than I thought. But after that Moore interception or the Pons interception, I was just and touchdown. I was kind of just like, okay, here we go. This is a rocket shot out of a cannon. Even when they scored, because like to me that those first drives are always scripted, and teams can look really, really good on those drives, and it shouldn't bother fans as much as it does, because I think that that's actually a big. If you're watching football, scripted drives are a thing that happens, and a lot of teams look good on those scripted drives and then completely fall apart. And that was why I was less nervous. Especially with the coordinators not being there. But yeah, amazing play. Again, all the running into Moore, wanting the contact, and then the Cignetti pose is just, especially with what's come after with Pons just in general, what he's been. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about it now because there might be more things happening here with the. Anyway, but yes. Anyway, yeah. So.
Trent, I did want to say, you're right. We love breaking the O, and we've all, these players also destroyed fists and blades for an entire generation. Like they are big on just redoing hand signals. I love it.
I'm wondering if O team, the orientation team, the iconic group of people of Indiana University, have changed their lesson, like traditions night. Is it still going to be this, or is it going to be this? I think it should be this. Like, I think it's over. Like, it's been decided.
Yanked down.
Yeah, exactly.
Elijah rewrote the book.
Right. Yep. Galen, coming back to you.
We got some great stuff still on the board here, guys. And I think as I look at I'm going to do it. We're going to do outside the postseason for the first time. I'm going to grab the Cooper catch at the end of the Penn State game. That, and again, I was there. I was not in the stands. I had retreated to the press box to go into my emotional cocoon, which, as I've said, ended up being really a good move on this particular play, because the in-stadium replay was so bad that the IU fans in the stands who were watching it told me they thought it was not a good catch. But I was up in the press box with the TV replays, and I could see, yes, that's going to count. So it was not just the celebration and just the amazing aspects of that play, from Mendoza's throw to Cooper somehow levitating in the back of the end zone. But it was also getting to savor for 2 solid minutes all the Penn State people thinking that they had the play going their way.
So I have a question, and you all can tell me. Is the Cooper catch a standalone event, or do that drive? Is there elements of that drive that would count? Okay.
Oh,
Everyone's saying
the
drive is
the
open.
Drive is
the
still
drive is
eligible.
open.
I would say the question is, does he get the Gus Johnson call with that?
Yeah.
I think.
If
you want it, you can disregard it, Galen. You can throw it back out there. But I think it is part of the play. If that's the Gus Johnson exasperate.
As a broadcaster, that's a moment I'll always remember in broadcasting. Yeah. It's not, and it's almost great because it's so bad at the same time.
Yes, right.
As the guy that's going to edit and try to put that clip in, we're keeping the audio because I want to make sure that audio is in there for the podcast.
Well, it wasn't just Gus Johnson though. I mean, Joel Klatt is like he's like he's like he's like making weird noises the whole time. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, either way is fine by me.
Any other reaction? I mean, it's like I can't believe people wanted to make the Alabama catch in the Oklahoma game as like one of the best catches, or Kadarius Toney's that wasn't a catch against Ole Miss that like Miami fans like this is the best catch of the season, and it wasn't even a catch. It was incredible.
This is Ty Simpson looked better through the first 8 games than Mendoza watching at work here, I think, Trent.
What were we saying about engagement farming and
100%. 100%. All right, Tim, back to you.
Okay. I was a little upset. I really wanted that play, so good pick by Galen.
That was number 6 on my
I think we have to go I got to go all the way back to the beginning. So much like this draft, I'm going to start this with the quote, which is, it's simple. I win. Google me.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
We hired Curt Cignetti. We made the best hire in college football history. Like, that moment becomes this incredibly prophetic, like sort of, it's going to happen. And it happens at Indiana, which is up until on that day, I'm sure the rest of us were just like, all right, like, hey, we'll see what happens. Sure. Like, take a chance on this guy. Maybe he could do it at the Big Ten level. And there was plenty of like healthy doubt and skepticism, but he walked into Memorial Stadium that day and he had no doubt. Like, he had no skepticism, and he told everybody else, all the way up to Brian Hall, to the athletic director's office, to the bars on Kirkwood and Dunn, like, get in line. Like, this ship is moving. And to me, that's a moment that I didn't know was a moment at the time. Like, I don't even remember where I was that day. I was, whatever, and seeing on Twitter, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, this guy feels pretty good. But now I'm going to look back on that as like, that was the day everything changed. So I'm taking, I win. Google me.
I like it. I know I've been posting clips from his presser for a couple weeks. I don't know if that's his. I know that's the most iconic quote.
There's other moments that happen very quickly, like after that also can be.
I know this. Dang it! I should have taken. I know which everyone's referring to, and it's not game.
That was also on my board. That was also on my board.
Oh, so, actually, no, I had to get one of that
those.
either. I think there are. Well,
okay. Well, you don't have to tip. You don't have to.
There's more options. It's coming back to you, Alec.
It is.
So I like that. I like that. I like that one. But there's another one that I'm going to go with next that I think is, in my opinion, the Cignetti when he like arrived on scene, and that was the one I'm going to go with. So, but anyway, I'm next. So we can talk about that one after I go.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and go? Yeah.
No, so I'm going to do the basketball game. Dang
it. That's the one I wanted to take.
Purdue sucks.
Just the whole speech though, because he went out there and he's got the swag and he's like walking around and like turning around and he's like playing it up, the whole thing. I just felt like, to me, that was just like, is this guy out of his friggin' skull? Like, this guy is out of his mind. And like, I was like, okay, well, Purdue, like, of course, like they're in a bad spot in my opinion, but like to be rustling the feathers and then for him to just, obviously the way it played out, but like that to me was like the arrival of Curt Cignetti. I know the I win thing was I win Google me was great, but the I'm gonna Purdue sucks, but so does Michigan and Ohio State. With the Yinzer accent, the high state, like it was just like that to me, that was bordering on a first round pick for me because I just felt like that defined Curt Cignetti, just coming to IU and like getting the fan base riled up. So that to me is a huge moment for the program.
Were you there, Galen?
I was actually in Hawaii, and I was on vacation. So like, I'm flying out to Hawaii. It was a little family vacation we squeezed in after Thanksgiving break. So I'm like texting back and forth with Teddy Bailey about the hire as I'm taking off from the Las Vegas airport. We did a whole podcast from my balcony in Kona, and then I was on Twitter watching the reports from this game, and so I didn't see the video live because it was not on in Hawaii. But I was like, "What the hell did he say?
Yeah,
like, really?" And so it was, and then I saw the clip, and I was like, "All right, we might have a live one here. This is not bad at all." Yeah. So no, I wish I'd been there. That's one of the moments I missed.
An element to this though is also Ryan Walters like reacting to it on Twitter. And like what the collapse after that for him compared to the ascension of Cignetti. I just had to add that element on there because that was rich. But no, this was I had this ranked over I win Google Me. This was a first round grade. This is the one that I was like, do I take it? So I think that's a great pick. All right. Alec?
I get the back-to-back, and I don't know if this is good for me in terms of like, I love the way my board's falling, or bad in terms of I'm going to be the one getting voted off here, but I'm going to end up with 3 and 4 on my board. So I'll go with the first one here. 3rd and Charlie. The third down completion from Mendoza to Charlie Becker in the Big Ten championship game.
Mendoza! Charlie B! From Nashville!
I said before that I may have been one of those people arguing for a win over Ohio State in a Big Ten championship might mean more, at least to me personally, than a national championship. But the emergence of Charlie Becker this year to go from somebody who we thought was just going to be playing on special teams to the number 1 receiver on this football team and the really one of the only deep threats on this team that can line up one-on-one and beat an athlete off the line. But just if you give the ball back to Ohio State in that moment, who knows what happens? And it's like you're playing with fire, right? It's like the 4th down that Ohio State doesn't get. Ohio State misses the kick, and it's like, okay, we need more time needs to come off the clock, regardless of what the end result of this drive is. And to go for the jugular like that, and it's a theme that we saw play out through the rest of the playoffs. But there was no hesitation with it. We weren't going to run the football. We weren't going to sit on it. It was, we're going to go try and win this football game right now. And to have that Mendoza to Becker connection be as elite as it was all year, and in that moment to go take out Ohio State by going to Charlie Becker, it was like, that was just absolutely incredible moment.
Alec's going to win this draft because his picks all have catchy things that he's doing. 4th in Mendoza, 3rd in Charlie. like those things that he's going to have as the graphic on the graphic that people are going to be like, oh, yeah, that's great. I agree.
I had a first round grade on this one as well. This one, if
this is my top 10 for sure.
If the podium hadn't been available, this was going to be the pick for me. So
the throw is not talked about enough. Like, I get it. It was a great catch by Charlie Becker, but like that throw is just, I mean, what should be shown when he gets drafted by the Raiders, like over and over.
Yeah. It was perfect. It was literally perfect. And a season full of throws like that where it's like you hit the back foot and it's like no hesitation on putting the ball exactly where it needs to be. Anyone who had those arm strength like questions about Fernando just literally did not watch him throw and deliver the football. It's like he literally couldn't have handed it to Charlie Becker in a better spot to make that catch.
And just think, if this was in the first 8-9 games, it probably wouldn't have happened because Ty Simpson was way better. So
can you imagine?
Can you imagine? Anybody else any other thoughts on this? Gus
No, I thought
Johnson's
this, I had a
like
first round
reaction
grade on
also
this
was
as well,
like,
so
yeah, Gus
this was
Johnson's
like,
reaction
sorry,
to
top
it was
10
also
grade.
great. Yeah. All right, Alec.
See, this is where I want to like buck the board a little bit and grab something where I think might not make it back, but I got to stay true to the board. I'm going with Mikal Kamara blocks the kick in the national championship game.
Back on. Blocked! Indiana blocks the punt and falls on it for a touchdown!
That was such an insane moment, but also just for Kamara himself to have the season he did, where he's going into the season, he's talking about 20 sacks and setting the program record, leads the Big Ten in pressures, but doesn't have, like, he has, I think, 1 or 2 sacks in the entire year. And then to make that play in the Big Ten championship game, Indiana needed it desperately. We needed to flip the momentum. And it's just like for Mikal Kamara to be the one to get his hand on that football, Bones Jones falls on it. And it's like every time it felt like the national championship game was slipping away, somebody important on Indiana made a play. And for that to be Mikal Kamara in that moment was just beautiful.
I love the quote that he gave. It wasn't like immediately after the game. I think it was maybe an interview follow-up where he was talking about the punt before. He was like, oh, I got pretty close. Like, I think I could do. And then I forget what even the story was. It was another player and he was like, get it now, like, go get it. And he told him, like, and then he goes and makes the block kick. To me, it's also then like him saying that is like, that's the encapsulation of Curt Cignetti and like the attention to detail. The like every play has a life of its own, like 6 seconds, like the whole thing is him going, I gave a good test on this. They didn't realize that I could get there the next time. I'm coming now. And he makes the play. Like that's like coaching and culture, and like it encapsulates right there. And you are absolutely right. That was like what changed the title game really in terms of momentum.
Anybody else?
It's good.
This was one, Galen, we were talking about where you're sitting mattered.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. Like it was because I was so high up and like could barely see the end zone below me. It was shock. Like everyone was just kind of ready for Miami to get the ball back, and all of a sudden they block him. And Isaiah Jones jumps on it, and you're like, oh my god, like it's a touchdown, and they freak out. It was crazy.
Exact same issue, because that also was on the opposite side where I was at. Yeah. But it was a little bit more. It was a little bit more in the moment than the Sharp interception was, because you could see Kamara's trajectory in, and then, like you said, though, it's shock when the ball doesn't come out on a punt. You're like, wait, where did it go? And that moment just felt more real in the moment. I think the Sharp thing took a little bit more time.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Jamie, it's coming back.
Yeah, so this is one I think that probably isn't going to come back around to me, and I wanted to get it there. There's a couple of these like calls that I think are iconic for IU, and I'm not going to tip my other one, but I have that one behind this one, and it's the big red carpet.
The lead, pressure off the edge, and it's intercepted. D'Angelo Pons, roll out the big red carpet, touchdown Indiana.
Call.
Hey, you're infringing our trademark. What are you doing, Jamie?
Yeah, there you go. No, but that I think that was
sue Hoosier Huddle for that one.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Protection.
Yeah, we got to talk to Red about that. But yeah, that, I mean, to me, that is like, that was like, I know I keep talking about like the arrival of Curt Cignetti and all that stuff, but then to have that play, and again, that game specifically was with a backup quarterback. It wasn't with Curtis Rourke. He had been hurt. Taven Jackson came in and he was fine, but it was the defense. One of the things that I think that is the hallmark of the entire Curt Cignetti era from when we've been watching is the resilience of when someone goes down or something happens to one phase of the team, that another phase of the team steps up. And Washington was driving. They were probably going to score there. Tucker gets in, hits his hand. Pons is right there, makes the catch, and then the call with the pullout of with the flag in the background. It was just like one of the most iconic scenes, in my opinion, even though it's not really one of the games that's like, one of the more talked about games of the era, because it was 2024 and nothing technically other than the playoff run came from that, I guess, era in the last couple of games there. So, but I just felt like that call, was an announcement, especially because I believe Game Day was there, or it was big.
Yes.
Yeah, Game Day.
That's also a potential pick.
Game Day was there.
Yeah, no, I sorry, but I just wanted to, like, it was just in that moment, like, to have all those eyes on it. I felt like that was a huge a huge one for me. And I was afraid that one wouldn't come back around. So I hope I don't get bit in the butt here, but that's where I'm at on that one.
It's also like, and Galen, you could probably speak to this, like the best producing editing of the camera work to just the zoom out is like the flag shadow is sort of waving in the background. It is cinematic, and that's never happened for IU before. That's a piece of it that I love is like representative of IU football and the experience that day.
Yeah, no, the color pop as it's slowly drawing out, and Yogi Roth just like drawing out the call at the end there and letting it run all the way into the end zone. Yeah, it's one of my favorite television moments, and I didn't get to experience that till I went home because I was in the stadium for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so it was one of those moments where it was great in both environments for different reasons.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, that was shot on Big Ten Network too, right?
Yeah.
The fact that production, like the production that Big Ten Network was putting on for that game, like they went absolutely crazy for that, which is
I didn't even think about
like
that. That's crazy that because that's because if you watch some of these games, and I watch a lot of sports, and I feel like to get that on the Big Ten Network, the way that they pulled out the call, you don't get that on the national network. I didn't even. So I felt like some of the production stuff in the playoff was not anywhere as close to as good as that. Like even the Pons interception, like they had the kind of the tight shot, I guess was fine, but like the way that thing like kind of just happened in the pullout and the call all at the same time was just amazing. Like movie like type situation.
I do think in the Peach Bowl it makes it kind of tough because it's domed, so you can't really.
Oh, true. That is true.
Pull out. Maybe if you have like a drone, or I don't know how they get those shots, but
yeah, it was a good one. Yep. All right, Tim.
All right. I need to get a specific play on my board. I've got the trophy. I've got a presser. I broke these down also on my draft board. I broke these down into categories of like plays, pressers, whatever. And I'm going to go. I think this is the right one, although I think the call is pretty good, but it's a great scene. And I'm taking D'Angelo Pons against Illinois, block punt touchdown.
Second punt for Clement. That is blocked. Got in there in a beat. D'Angelo Pons is gonna score.
Great pick.
That was great. It was a night game. And what was the best part about it, eventually we blow the doors off of Illinois. But we all had to sit there after losing to Notre Dame in the playoff and listen about everybody else in the country being next year's Indiana and everybody blah blah blah. And I heard of this on CrimsonCast many times of like, Illinois does not qualify for the next Indiana. Like they were in a bowl game. They won bowl games. Like they're not even remotely close to qualifying but Illinois was the team that everybody was calling the next Indiana. And it was lazy analysis and it's lazy whatever else. So to hear that all off season and then just to shove it right back in their face at a nighttime fully filled Memorial Stadium. The nice thing is Notre Dame did us a favor beforehand by like going to overtime. So they delayed the kickoff like an extra 15 minutes. The stands were absolutely full to start that game. It was electric being in there, being in Memorial Stadium at night. And when that happened, my pants were also close to falling down during that play too. I've got a lot of D'Angelo Pons love, but that's a great moment and really solidified that this team was going to be just as good as the 24 team. And if you were going to snooze on us, like you were well behind the curve here. So D'Angelo Pons punt block touchdown against Illinois.
Man, Pons is all over our draft board right now.
Should be all over NFL draft boards at this moment too.
Any other reactions?
I think you can make the argument that the overhead shot of the stadium when they're like as Peacock's loading in and there's no sound and you're just seeing Memorial rocking, that could be its own moment in and of itself. But no, you're absolutely like when we're sitting there and it's like the game's kind of going and it is what it is, and then it's like the punt block happens. It's like I think all the Indiana fans kind of had a feeling of what was about to go on. At least that's how I could feel. It was like, this is exactly what we told you was going to happen. Here it is. We are better than you. We have better athletes. We're faster, and this is just a foreshadowing what the rest of this football game is going to look like.
It's great. Yeah, that was great. All right, Galen.
I got a couple of directions I could go with this, but I think it's time for the Rose Bowl trophy lift to make an appearance. There's so much history culminates there. And it's not just the trophy lift, but like the roses being poured over Cignetti as he's lifting the trophy. He gets completely engulfed in this waterfall of red. And I mean, again, I think it was more impactful if you were in the stadium than if you were just watching it on television, because all these IU fans had stayed and you realized, wow, there are so many IU fans in the Rose Bowl right now. And, and we've talked about this a bunch on CrimsonCast, but the generational trauma that healed in that moment for so many IU fans who had specifically gone out there to watch just Indiana in the game, but then to be rewarded with the trophy lift at the very end there. That's just an amazing moment from the Cignetti area, I think.
So does the trophy lift, is there other elements that happen on that podium that we're going to split off? Okay.
If I'm thinking of separate, you're thinking of, I think they're separate. Yes.
Okay. I just want to make
sure. Well, I got to update my big board and mark things still available. I marked that off.
I think that and being in Pasadena watching that live, and ironically, like I was so excited for the sunset, but Indiana, not only do I think we probably wouldn't have had the sunset regardless, but Indiana smoked Alabama so bad that the game was so fast. The post-game celebration stuff was when the sunset came. So it was just a iconic feeling and moment there that does get encapsulated by lifting that Rose Bowl trophy. I would agree.
Yeah, and they're dumping the petals on him and all the pictures that came out of it.
I mean, he looked headless in the pictures because he was covered in stuff. It was like kind of a creepy photo, but it was like, the one where he's like, he's holding it, but he's got no head. It was like, what is happening here? Anyway.
All right. I'm going to go next. I got back-to-back at the end of the third round here. And I'm going to go back to the Illinois game. I got to take Burt bending over at the knees.
Mendoza, end zone, touchdown. Too easy. Elijah Surratt has his second. And count
on. Brett Bielema, like when Elijah Surratt scores a touchdown, I can't remember what they made the score, but when he bends over and just that feeling, like you talked about, like the D'Angelo Pons punt represented what was going to happen. That represented what was happening. I won't say, just in case anyone takes later, but there's an element after the game that was something he said that also encapsulates that moment. And so I think that was, it's the greatest internet GIF and use of any time is that moment. So I'm going to take that as my last pick of the third round.
I think it's funny that Bielema calls them Cigs.
Yeah.
Wait, with the S, but no, you're absolutely right. If Pons is going to be the start of whatever that beatdown was, as soon as Bielema puts both hands on his knees and the head goes down, it's like that is full circle of what just happened in this football game. It was delivering of the belt,
and just the history with Bielema. And
yes,
I was there for that 66-14 game. I watched the 83-20 game. It was the turnabout that I think IU fans have been waiting for. It was kind of the baby version of the Rose Bowl moment that I mentioned, where it's like more generational trauma healed right there when you watch him bend over on the sideline.
No, I want to agree with Galen there that I asked before we got on how many hand on because there's 3 or 4 of them of coaches where they're bent forward looking just they have no idea, they can't stop what IU is doing. And for me, again, just what Galen said, I watched IU get beat down by Brett Bielema at Wisconsin. And it wasn't just beating down, it was the same thing that IU did in that game. They just ran them over and they couldn't stop anything that they did. And it was like, we're going to put backups in and you're still going to have 1s and 2s in. We're putting, some walk-ons essentially in, and they're still kind of rolling down the field. Nothing is they're not stopping anything and they can't score. And I just felt like that was it was a massive moment for me being yes, this team is really good. Can you actually give them the flowers already, please? Because, we had been told that they last year was kind of an aberration, and that, that the Notre Dame situation and Notre Dame game and the Ohio State game, dampened what IU had accomplished. And I was I don't think that that's the case. I think that this was like the validation of like, no, IU is here to stay, and anyone saying that they're not, which could get to something that I will talk about a little bit later. Anyone that's saying that it's not is, for me, it's like, yeah, this is we're back arrived again, even though we didn't go anywhere situation. So.
Yeah. All right, I've got to jump in because the audience members are screaming right now. This is the worst pick of the draft. I'm sorry, Trent. This is terrible. This is not even a top 5 like meme and GIF category of things. You could have gotten this.
Do you not live on the internet?
4 rounds later. Brent Beal, I mean, it was nice. Don't get me wrong. I love it, but I live my life on Twitter all the time. This could have gotten so much later on. You could have taken this way later. None of us were going to touch the Brent Bielema.
I actually don't. You could have gotten this way later. Tim here. I think he's right. I had this on my board, but it's
mine's like 28 or something so far.
I didn't have this anywhere near my board.
Wow. Okay. That might be the thing that kills me in the draft. Wow, that was shocking. I'm shocked by that. I
love the moment. Listen, we could do moments. We can go to 100 picks of moments that I love, but this was
Kirkwood and Dunn made a sad fan video, and I didn't put this in there, and the outcry of not putting this in there was crazy. So I thought this represented what Cignetti does in the Big Ten, but obviously I'm in the minority here. Okay, my next one, and it's probably not going to be on any one of your drafts boards with the way this is going, but I'm going to say Cignetti signing the extension in 2024. And what I'm going to use as that representative of that moment is when he went on Big Noon kickoff show. I think it was during the bye week after Ohio State, I think. Or it was one of those bye weeks right there before Purdue. And he said that, why would I leave? Indiana is the emerging superpower of college football.
And the fact of the matter is, we're the emerging superpower in college football. Why would I leave?
Is what I'm going to use as my moment to represent the Cignetti 2024 extension. So.
That's good. That was like the Baltimore Ravens.
You guys want to crap all over that one?
But then coming back with Lamar Jackson. So, that was the right pick, but, you kind of did it out of order there. So, I'll give you some credit that you rebounded. So, good job.
I'll always remember the CFB subreddit post on this where the top comment was, honestly, the man could probably take Transnistria right now. It was like there was a kind of a, wow, I can't believe this is actually happening, and this man could own the state if he wanted to at this stage. So I don't disagree. That was one of those seminal moments that almost got lost in the shuffle of everything else that happened.
And it gets stronger, obviously, with backing it up in 2025 and what's happened since. Like it's definitely his quote moments, one of the ones I would take off the board. So, well, I'm feeling defeated after your all's reaction to Bert. But all right, anyone? Who's next? Galen.
It's Galen. Galen's next.
I'm shocked this is actually still there. If we're talking about huge moments, but we're going with IU, America. They got a football team now. Sean Asbury's 78-yard interception return, not for a touchdown, as many people remember.
And picked off up the sideline. Indiana, Asbury walking them down. Woo! IU, America, they got a football
and this is just going to.
But early third quarter in Nebraska, I think a lot about those moments of catharsis, and the whole game was so special. Walking in and seeing a full Memorial Stadium of people dressed in red rooting only for IU, I think for the first time in my life. But that particular moment in the stadium, and then obviously this is one of those where Gus Johnson's call elevates it above and beyond and announces to the country what we had been screaming for a month up to that point, which is, why is Indiana getting no respect? Why are they, whatever they were, X points underdog against Nebraska at home? And just the energy in that game and the way that it that was the peak of it as far as I was concerned for that game. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that one.
So that was the next one on my board. Like that was the one I was going to take. And I wanted to quickly add to that. It wasn't just about like the way that they kicked their ass. It was that like you had guys like Will Compton talking about like, we're going to go into that kiddie pool of a stadium. And it's just like, to absolutely just boat race a team and to get a call like that again, that was my next one. And people always think it's a touchdown, but he doesn't. He gets tackled like from behind essentially, but Asbury that is. But yeah, I just felt like the Will Compton that is always sticks with me because he was such an arrogant jerk. And then to have his team look the way they did. And that was another, I believe there's I think that I didn't write it down, but I'm pretty sure that was one of the ones where, is there a rule with his hands on his knees where he's like looking forward kind of thing? I can't remember if that's one of the ones, but that vaguely sticks to my head. But yeah, that was the next one on my board. That was like a very good pick. I like that one.
And Sean Asbury, the player, is so underappreciated. That guy was so good. BC commit originally, 2 years at ODU, comes to Indiana, and he's almost like this forgotten piece of the defense. But he was unbelievable in that like quote unquote Lewis Moore role, and for him to be the one to I put the exclamation mark on that moment, and like maybe we'll get some honorable mentions after the draft, so I'll hold my tongue. But that was a great moment for sure.
That wasn't on my board, and it probably was just because like I was trying to recall what was my feeling and moment in that Nebraska game. I have another one, but like that didn't come up for me. But I bet you that's just more of like, trying to remember in 2026 what happened in that game. I just remember the beatdown and all the elements to that. So okay,
all right, I'm up next. I think Galen, you said this earlier, to some degree this is an entire draft about moments of arrival, like, and to what degree at one end we've got winning the title, at the other end we've got like ESPN broadcasts and whatever else. To me, this was the real moment where I thought like, and let me start this over in a way. Trent and I had talked for years. It was like, God, could Indiana just have like the nice Michigan State 9-3 type season, the nice Wisconsin, Iowa, like just that? Can we just, and then we're like win an Outback Bowl, man? Like that's what we really want, like that was our like reach goal that we were trying to set for. And so this moment that I'm going to draft is the moment that I was like, oh wait, we might actually be able to win the national title. And I'm taking in Autzen Stadium, Elijah Surratt touchdown, going up 27-20, effectively winning the game. At that point, he breaks the O off right in front of their faces.
Here comes the pressure. Throws to the corner. Touchdown, Surratt.
How about that? They've got back shoulder throw.
In the 24 season, I still had like some level of daunt, and I made a one-day trip out to Columbus back and forth for that game. And it was, we were losing on the road, which it's hard to win on the road in college football, those sorts of things. And Trent and I, when we recorded our preview podcast for that, we were like, man, that Illinois win was nice. Iowa, this was great. But we're going up the road. Like this ain't really going to happen. We were both like, signed, sealed, delivered. Let's just keep it close. Let's cover the spread, blah, blah, blah. We were fully expecting everybody to take Oregon, the whole thing, the whole 9 yards. And for us to actually go on the road, win against a top 5 team in the road that people were predicting to win the national title, everything else, that Surratt play encompassed like the player development, the scheme, the resilience, because he throws a pick right before that. Fernando throws a pick, Oregon ties the game with the pick 6. And it's like, what do you have in your heart, IU? Are you going to fold like you did at Ohio State? Are you going to fold like you did against Notre Dame? Like those sort of things. And they didn't. And that to me is like a moment that I'll always remember, is actually going on the road, big time environment. Elijah Surratt breaking the O, IU wins.
Yeah, I mean, that was huge. And the response after the interception to drive down the field and do that was an element there.
I was there, and that wasn't the play that I had picked as the top moment from that game, but I think you could make an argument for it being, and it's really, again, it's whether you want to get the penultimate moment or the ultimate moment, and like how you want to summarize it emotionally. So I could say, like, being in the stadium, everything you said was right, except for the feeling that, oh, we've won the game. That's the only thing I feel like that's missing in that mix. But yes, the individual moment was incredible.
Yeah.
So so I guess it's me now, or do we want to keep discussing?
Yeah, you're up, Jason.
Anyone else have any thoughts on that pick? Anyone else have any thoughts?
I thought there was. I'll go. We'll have to talk about this after.
You can roll right into it.
There was. I think what Galen's getting at is a defensive situation. I'm not going to. But what I was going to get at in that was a kicking situation. But I'm not going to do that one now. But there was a couple plays in that game where it was just like, again, just like Tim said, are you going to fold like we're so used to IU teams doing, or are you going to battle through it, make plays, and continue to show why you are a championship level team? And they did it over and over again. And of course, I had that one on my board pretty high as well. But that was just an amazing, and the call again, if like, because to me, Nessler, obviously Vern Lundquist isn't there, but having Nessler and Gary Danielson doing the game, and like to me those were the guys, like the drums when they would do the SEC stuff at the beginning, like having those guys do some IU games was just, it was amazing to me, because it was like that was like a childhood thing, especially with Vern, or Vern doing the games before with Danielson, like it was just, that was and even Keith Jackson and like these guys that are the iconic guys calling IU games, that just didn't happen until this run. And so I felt like that game had a couple of absolutely massive moments. That one being the one that didn't necessarily seal it, but like one of the memorable ones from the entire run that they've had. So good pick, I think.
All right, Jamie.
Yeah, so I'm gonna. I have a. This is hard for me because I don't want to pick
good stuff
this one
on the board.
What's that?
I said a lot of good stuff on the board.
There's a lot of good stuff on the board. I just think that there are. So there, for me, it's hard to put into like a seminal or a single moment, because I have a couple here that I don't think people would think would be very high. So I'm kind of playing to the crowd here, because so to me, the throw and the catch to Surratt against Iowa was the play that defined the season there.
Slant, a run, and there he goes. Elijah Surratt, touchdown Indiana.
Which one?
So, well, there's a couple.
There was a couple.
Touchdown, we got to go with the touchdown. We got to go with the touchdown.
Game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
I think that's somewhat obvious, but there was some huge throws to Surratt in that game.
There was, and I think that so the reason I'm picking that, I don't think that people realize. I don't know if I tweeted this out, but I think I started to, and it's probably still in my drafts because I do that all the time. But essentially, that game was, in my opinion, that was the closest game that IU played in 25. Yes, they had to deal with the Cooper catch, but that game wasn't close until IU kind of let their foot off the gas in the third and fourth quarter. Like that game they were up 20-7.5. And if they had scored 17-7, if they had scored a touchdown there, that game is essentially over. The Iowa game was back and forth, and they would not let IU do what IU wanted to do. And IU, it was one of the things where I picked that as a loss, because I thought that IU, it's so hard to win there, but it's also hard to not do what Iowa wants you to do because of the way that they play. And just obviously over and over again, they overcame it. But just the way that Mendoza stayed in the pocket, he had been getting absolutely destroyed all game, including another one that could be a moment there where he goes out of bounds or whatever. But the throw, and then it was on Peacock, so people didn't actually see the game, and I felt like that was a huge disservice to how good of how big of a win it was for IU, because not seeing it made it harder for people to understand. It's like, oh well, they beat Iowa on a last second touchdown at Iowa, like whatever, like that Iowa's not very good, and it turns out Iowa was actually pretty good, and IU was really good. So anyway, I felt like that was a moment that if more people had seen it, had seen how that game had unfolded, that it was like a smash mouth bludgeoning, two teams just bludgeoning each other over and over again. I felt like that was a huge moment, and I'm gonna hopefully when it comes back around to me, I got another one here. So, but yeah, that was my moment. I had to get that one. I'm glad I
had to get off the board.
Yeah, I had to get that one off the board.
I think it's one of the more underrated moments of the season. And it's probably the moment that NBC decided, oh, we're going to start the NBC Sports Network, because we could have absolutely crushed on these ratings if this would have been a live game, because that was a bad college football weekend. And it was one of the best games of the weekend and the best game of the season.
It's one of those where whoever did the draft for the networks immediately regretted their choice by not having that Iowa-Indiana game on something other than a frigging streaming service.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
I thought that was a massive disservice to both teams because I thought, again, like I said, it wasn't just that IU was really good. Iowa was also very, very good. Again, their offense isn't great, but that was a really, really good win, as we saw, because Iowa's only losses were to like elite teams essentially. So it was just also, again, it's another thing where it's like the vanquishing of those programs that had long tormented IU, where they used a certain style like Wisconsin or like Michigan, where they bludgeon you into submission and then they just continue to score and score and score because you can't stop them and they don't care. And IU is now the team doing that. And obviously that didn't happen in this game, but like the back and forth of that game was just, I felt like a huge moment that not a lot of people got to see. And I was, felt like I had to highlight it here.
All right, Alec.
I can't believe I'm going to get 4 out of the top 5 picks on my board. This is actually it's funny. Trent talked about the first Curt Cignetti extension. I actually think the second Curt Cignetti extension is a like significantly bigger deal.
I couldn't be more proud to be a Hoosier, and I plan on retiring as a Hoosier.
That's what I had on my board.
Especially at the time that it came. Like, you look at what jobs were about to come open or coming open. It's LSU, it's Penn State, it's Florida. It's all of these different schools that the outside college football world told Indiana fans, like, okay, listen, like, you've had your fun. Curt Cignetti was great. Thanks for finding him. And especially, guys, thanks for validating that he can coach at this level. Now let's let the big boys come in and we'll take Cignetti off your hands. You guys have had enough football fun for now. And it's like, no. Like, even before all those jobs came open, and I'm sure like Dolson and the people behind the scenes are hearing rumors and there are things flying around, like, we didn't even get to a point where Curt Cignetti's name could be used in contract talks, could be leveraged at these different places. Like, the administration went right to him and locked him down. And I think like that is for,
I think you're right.
Talk about this switch from like when they fire Tom Allen, okay, we're going to go invest in football. Like, all of that goes out the window if you let Curt Cignetti walk out the door. And the fact that they didn't even let him get close is, to me, one of the more significant moments of Indiana football's like history, period. And so like that was literally number 5 on my board.
Alec, I think you're really right. Like, the Trent's pick has the better quote as related to it, but that extension was a different signaling about investment. I mean, the first Cignetti extension is good, and even hiring Cignetti and what we opted to pay him was a like, we're going to try at football.
Right.
The second extension was a, not only are we trying, we're trying to be the best at football. And like, that was just a different echelon with that extension. I think that was my like preferred ranking of the extensions, was the second one in November after Penn State.
I agree. I mean, we hear a lot about virtue signaling. I would call the second extension victory signaling, where Indiana was like, you know, we're going to absolutely do this and we're going to keep doing it. And as much as you want to take runs at our head coach or our assistant coaches, we're just going to keep throwing money on the table until you go away. And so, especially at that moment, because you figure like it was the middle of October. They fired James Franklin. It's transparent why Pat Kraft has fired James Franklin. And I think they just thought, oh, Cignetti's just going to walk across 2 state lines and come to Pennsylvania. And yeah, that was an intoxicating. I was at the Indiana volleyball was playing at Gainbridge that day. I was doing the NIL thing for them at Social Cantina downtown. And we were just getting the thing launched and the news broke that the Cignetti had signed this extension. And we were all like, wow, we're going to outspend everyone. This is a new feeling for us. So yes.
I also, so for me, I just thought, like, to me, that was a huge FU to the college football establishment and the people on TV being like, no, actually we are here and we're staying here and you're not taking our coach. Like that to me was like, I agree that it was the second was over the first just because of what it symbolized. Because as Galen said, the reason that I think that was the reason that Penn State got rid of Franklin when they did was because they wanted to take a run at Cignetti before anything happened with IU. I truly believe that was how it was going to play out. So I think that, again, I'm not bashing anybody, unfortunately, here. I need to start.
The recency bias in this podcast right now is just outstanding.
Yeah, we're being too nice.
The second extension led to the third extension, and
I know. I was about to say that it wasn't even his only extension of the season.
Right.
That's where that's at. All right, Alec, your last pick.
You're up 2 shots on the back 9. Don't screw this up. No pressure.
Actually,
ooh, don't pull a
pick.
Brett Bielema, Alec.
Jamie's talked a lot about like vanquishing old foes and a lot of like the old Indiana feelings creeping back into what the current, I guess, mindset of the football team should be. And I think that nothing better encapsulates that moment than the first play of the Big Ten championship game when Mendoza rolls to his right, gets absolutely leveled by Caden Curry, and he's laying on the floor. And you're like, I can't believe this is happening again. This is the Indiana football story to a T. Look at this team. It's Cinderella-esque, and it just got taken away from this fan base in the first play of the Big Ten championship.
Defensively, they've got their quarterback laying on the field. Popped right when he let go of this ball. Here's 92 Curry. Yeah, the 35-yard line, and here we go. 15 back on the field. Listen to this crowd.
Game. Burt comes in, he hands the ball off once, and back out on the field, jogs 15. And you could hear, I mean, Galen and Trent Trent, you said you weren't there, but Galen maybe can speak to a little bit of this in the stadium. But I almost blew my TV speakers out when the dude jogged back out on the field. Like that was, I don't know, I felt like Teflon in that moment. So like to me, like the fact that kid pulled himself up off the turf, jogged over to the sideline, shook out the cobwebs, was like, no, I'm fine. And not only am I fine, I'm coming right back into this football game. It's like it murdered all of those, like, this is the old Indiana feelings. And it was like, no, this is the 2025 Indiana Hoosiers. Fernando Mendoza's our quarterback, and we're going to go win this football game. Let's go.
Alec, I reacted so strongly, man. I was sure nobody was going to take that play because
that was my. I was going to take that one next. That was my next. That was my next.
Damn it! I waited around to get back to me. I don't want to like steal the moment from you. I think you're doing good, but it's time that I come clean on the podcast. I need to let folks know in August of 2024, I had a vision of IU winning, or August of 25 of IU winning the national title. And on August 19th, I opened up my FanDuel account and saw a promotion for a 100% profit boost. And Indiana football sitting at 151 to win the national title. So I boosted that to 300 to 1. And I allocated a pretty measly $25 to that. So I was set to win $7,500 if Indiana won the national title. And Trent and I had been talking the entire season, like, how are we going to manage this? Do I hedge? When do I invest in Ohio State a little bit? Like, what's going on? And I'm at the Big Ten championship game. I'm in the opposite corner of where that play happens. And I see Fernando dead on the ground, just dead. And everybody, of course, is standing up and looking. And I am on the ground as well with Fernando. I am kissing the feet of the people next to me. My girlfriend is looking at me like, what did I just get into showing up to this game with this guy? He's going to die here. And I grab my phone out of my pocket. And then in my head, I'm going, I know that the broadcast is always like 2 plays behind what is actually happening in the stadium. And I open up that app and I immediately cash out for $600. Like, I'm just going to take this winnings now. Like, this season is over. We had a chance. It's all done. Like, I'm going to do this now before FanDuel realizes, because, like, I don't believe in Alberto. Like, I'm done. I'm on the ground in, like, section 422, just, like, crying away. Just, like, give me the 600. I'll take it. I'm done. And then he comes back in the next play. Obviously, everything goes crazy then, but all-time regret for me cashing out. I had the shot called. I called the shot. I had like an unbelievable ticket sitting in my hand all season. And I was so extremely daunted right then in that moment. Great pick. I thought it was going to come back around to me because it was my personal moment of the season where I had to do that.
That's incredible.
Tough.
Don't feel too bad. He would have cashed out after like the Rose Bowl or whatever. Anyways, like Tim is the cash out king. But the funniest part of all that to me is if that would have been a home game and Tim was there, he wouldn't have been able to cash out because he wouldn't have got internet service to cash out.
Yes.
I thought that's where that was going, actually. Like, I tried to cash out, but nope, man.
He did.
I did.
Out. He texted me immediately. I have the screenshot, so this will be a clip that I will share with the screenshot.
How many therapy sessions have you had since the national title over this incident?
You could call me Simone Biles with the mental gymnastics that I have done since then about, well, but here would have been the odds. And if I would have cashed out here, like, because Trent is right. Like, there is no way I would have gotten to the national championship game on a, like, IU beats Miami and I get $7,500, or IU loses the national championship and I also get $0. Like, that would have never happened. So I'm like, I've been like, well, when would I have done it? Would I have hedged in a certain way? I felt pretty good about beating Alabama, whatever else. So if I would have made it out of that game, like, maybe I would have let it go a little bit longer. But truly, like, as Trent and I have watched college football for years together, the reality is also this is my most like Simone Biles triple flip into a stand. That was me. I had bad luck potentially with my bet on Indiana. So if I don't cash it out, do we actually win? What was my juju going in with my FanDuel account? Who knows? So maybe I actually did help win the title by cashing it out and pulling it away. That's my contribution to the team.
Yeah.
Well, Fernando jogs off the field. You had the ticket. Fernando, you get rid of the ticket. Fernando right back on the field. So
right, exactly.
I'm not sure people give you enough credit.
Yeah, thank you, Alec.
Well, and for me, like I was actually shocked that they didn't make him go. Like it was like watching on TV. I was like, my 3-year-old's running around like a wild maniac, and I'm looking at the TV like, no, I'm like, Miles, out of the way. Like, I need to. So I thought he was gonna like go into the tent, or like I thought it wasn't gonna just be like one play and one handoff, because he was on the ground, but then he came off and he looks like he's got kind of like cobwebs. Like, it's like they're going to make him sit for a little bit. And that was where it was like, to me, that was like, I kind of actually understand where you're coming from, Tim, because like, if you're just watching it, like he did not, no, I'm not saying they were let him play and he was concussed, but like the way that it happened and the way he was like, he jogged off the field. I know that, but like, I thought that there was going to be a little bit more like, you need to sit for this drive type of thing. And so I understand where you're coming from, because that was my first initial thought. It's like, not just out for the game, but like, I was like, okay, well, he's out for at least a little while. So Alberto is going to have to come and do something.
My one question on this, if you haven't listened to the Eddie Coaten interview about the extended highlights making of the whole theme of the beginning of the video for the Big Ten championship is that Mendoza dies and Omar Cooper dies on like consecutive plays almost. So are we dubbing this the Mendoza resurrection?
There it is.
Yes.
I like that. Well,
yes.
No, okay, we can't do that, Galen, because if I give Alec that as his 5th on the graphic, he's got the 4th and Mendoza, 3rd and Charlie, and then the Mendoza resurrection. Like, I mean, he made it for the graphic. So, but I will do this.
I love it.
Mendoza resurrection.
So I guess,
thank you, Indiana Podfather.
I guess I'm up next.
I made him a title he couldn't refuse.
I'm up next, and there's a couple of ways I could have gone with this, because I have 2 open ones, and they're both Charlie Becker related that haven't been selected yet, because he made some of the most insane catches. Actually, I have 3 on my list still of catches that he made, and I know we're at the end, so I'm not gonna. I'm done here after this, but there's 10 minutes and 55 seconds left in the 4th quarter of the national title game. It's 4th and 5 at the Miami 37, and Miami had kind of taken control. They just had a 10-play drive that went down the field to make it 17-14. And there's a back shoulder throw to Charlie Becker, who makes an insane catch on the right side while staying in bounds. His butt hits the ground. He's holding the ball.
Mendoza, ball in his hands. Sideline pitch. Becker comes back to make a catch.
Barely, if you're watching this, he's holding the ball like he's got it like cupped at the top. He's like barely holding it. I thought that was one of the most amazing catches that doesn't get talked about. It gets kind of lost in the shuffle of all the amazing things that happened that game. And it was also the call by Curt Cignetti to have the cojones. I mean, they're at the 37-yard line. I know that that's kind of like outside of Nico's range, but he had missed one in the playoffs, because he doesn't really miss, but he had missed one in the playoff, but he had made one in the game already. And I just felt like that play was when I kind of, yes, there was other plays, obviously the 4th and Mendoza, the one that we had with the block punt, where I thought like, okay, they kind of have this in hand, but that was a play that doesn't get talked about enough. And I felt like it was just a massive play for the momentum of the team, and they went down and scored a touchdown on the 4th and 5 by Mendoza. Like that set up the play by Mendoza to do the 4th and 5. It also drained, a ton of time off the clock. It was like a 5.5 minute drive. I just felt like that was a massive play, and I don't think it gets the accolades that it deserves with the way that he played all year. Because him coming on is why IU, in my opinion, had became the title favorite because of how good he played and how how it added another guy to the Cooper, Surratt, Nowakowski, group of guys that were just basically, if you double one, you leave the other guy open. If you it's almost unguardable. And so I just thought that was a huge play that kind of gets overlooked in the grand scheme of the national title. And it was and it got us to the Mendoza, 4th and Mendoza. So that's where I'm going with my last pick.
Yeah, he had 2 catches, but I won't,
Yeah, I was going to say, he had
I'm glad you specified.
Yeah. I just felt
and then
with the 4th down, I felt like,
Yep.
We also got the Brian Haynes quote of the Burroughs Award, where he looked at Corey Heatherman and was like, it was Indiana's offense against the Corey Heatherman-led defense, and I felt great about it.
Yeah, I love that one. That was actually
a great moment. Yeah. All right, Tim, last pick for you.
So the interest, I want to take something that totally encompasses the Curt Cignetti era, which has not really been taken at all yet in the draft, but that is portal activity. Portal activity has been a big part of what has happened here. And I think there's a few ways I could go with it, but I'm going to pick Christmas Eve 2024, which is when Fernando Mendoza commits to Indiana. As much as the 2014 was great and Curtis Work was great and guys build the culture and all that stuff, which may still even come in the last couple picks here, what we're realizing, and Fernando's about to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, Fernando, he was different. It was just a different level of a transfer of whatever. And really, to me, the big aspect is we beat out Georgia for him. We beat out hometown Miami for him. Now, I would say that's probably more fault of Kirby Smart or Mario Cristobal for not realizing what they could do at the quarterback position and whatever else. But this kid shows Indiana not necessarily as a fallback, really. It was no, I think that's the place I can go in. And he talks about, Alberto's development and whatever else. And to some degree, maybe I should pick Alberto transferring or committing to Indiana, but as the seed to this. But Fernando changes everything. We don't win the national title without Fernando Mendoza. I don't think we win it with a Curtis Work level quarterback. We win it with him. And Fernando coming in is what really changes the course of IU football forever. Christmas Eve 2024.
100%. I remember being very nervous about what the quarterback position could look like in 2025 if it wasn't going to be Fernando. Going into that, his commitment day is okay, if he comes, we're in great shape, and if he doesn't come, are we going to go with Alberto? Is that going to be what we do in 2025? And so when you wake up that morning and you see the Hayes Fawcett, Fernando Mendoza commits, I freaked out. I don't even think I got out of bed before I started screaming. People were like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, I couldn't be better. Full blown, seeing these moments play out and being able to okay, cool, Mendoza commits and you're watching the 98 yards of my boys drive and you're listening to the way his teammates talk about him, and then you meet Fernando Mendoza the person, and it's it's really not that surprising that he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. And Tim, to your point, I think if he went to Georgia or he went to Miami, and as much as I love Curt Cignetti and Chandler Whitmer in the development, kid's probably a top 10 pick regardless of what school he's coming out of. He was that talented.
For me, the way that played out, I thought he was kind of a lock to IU. And then there was the Georgia talk, and I was like, okay, this is actually concerning. And then to just discreetly, it just was there. He was just, okay, I'm committed. It was to me, that was where it was huge weight. Because I knew he was a good quarterback. You just watched some of the Cal stuff, and it's the kid can play. Now, can he do it at a championship level? I don't know, but I knew that I thought that he was a draftable quarterback, even coming out of Cal, because of the way that he showed, the moxie to stay in the pocket and
going down the field with the boys.
Right. And but the leadership skills, you don't see that often from college quarterbacks. And the way that he showed that's why I was when it just popped up, basically, it was it was a weight had lifted off my shoulders, because it was I know that this guy's a really good player, and I know that he's going to do everything he can at IU to win football games. And so to me, like the Georgia stuff was like very concerning. Not that I thought like, cause they had Gunnar Stockton. Like I wasn't like, oh, that's super serious, but it was more about like, is IU going to pony up and pay Mendoza? Because these other schools, that's where with the way that the transfer portal has changed, is that the big boys will just pay these guys if they want them. And so to me, that also represented IU ponying up to be like, hey, no, again, this is just like the Curt Cignetti situation. We are here. We are not messing around. We are going to pay top dollar to get the guys that we think are going to win at a high level. And this just popping up on my feed. I think it was like, was it in the morning? I just remember like, yeah, it was in the morning. And I was just like, it was out completely out of the blue. Like it wasn't like we had a heads up
like
really
9 a.m. or something.
Right. It was just like, it was totally like, okay, well now he's in the fold. This is great. But yeah, totally agree. What a early Christmas present to Indiana fans. And then also what it said about the program. Like it just says that like, we're not backing down. We're here and we're going on we're going the next step and we're going to pay these guys what they deserve. And so I just felt like I agree. Really good one. Had that on my board a little farther down. I probably should have moved it up actually, because I agree. The magnitude was much bigger, obviously, especially in hindsight.
All right, Galen.
Man, I got two.
The honorable mentions on this is going to be great. We're going to have to rip through them.
We're going to have to rip through them because we're almost to 2 hours. So this is why we're only doing one episode this week.
This is almost a proper CrimsonCast episode.
There you go.
Now. So I'm going to regret not picking either of the ones that I don't pick here. I am going to go with the one I think has the greater historical significance, which is Fisher tackling O'Leary at the end of the Michigan game in 2024.
More 4.
Warren throws complete. O'Leary doesn't get there.
Which not only it's not only seals the victory, and we get the wonderful not bad quote from Cignetti afterwards, which is probably a separate moment, but Indiana clinched a CFP bid in that moment. And that was one of those, games where it felt for the entire second half, going back to what Trent was saying earlier about the most college football things ever. It's like, all right, here's where the fairy tale ends. And you just kept waiting for the fairy tale to end, and it didn't end. And the feeling in that moment, I think the only thing that's matched that in my in-stadium moments with IU were the end of the Ohio State game in the Big Ten championship the next year and the end of the national championship. Like it was that momentous. And I think it almost gets lost in time. Like half the people don't even remember that it was Aiden Fisher that made that tackle. But to me, that moment, that's like when Indiana jumped over the threshold and it's like, now we're in the big boys league.
So I love that pick because that's also on my board, but I also have the return. I mean, I guess Trent's the last pick, but I don't think Trent's going to pick this one. So I'm going to say it right now, just in case, because I want the Keyshawn Williams punt return in that game. That was also like the weight coming off of my shoulders. Because if you recall, IU was completely on their heels, and he had like a ridiculous punt return. I can't remember exactly. I didn't write it down here, but that moment, the tackle to end the game. But it as Galen said, it pushed IU. That was the clinching of the playoff essentially for IU. Just a massive moment that gets again lost in time. I feel like. Along with like as I said with my last one, the Charlie Becker catch, like there are these moments that are like you don't remember because there's so many moments, but they are such huge stepping stones for the program, and got them to where they are now, which is national champions.
This one almost gets hurt by and because I was trying to pick what moment I wanted from the Michigan game, and I finally decided I wasn't going to take anyone because they would all be probably Sharon Moore bending over and making and kicking field goals instead of going for touchdowns. Like this one is almost hurt because of just how decimated Michigan football as a brand has been since Sharon Moore took over. I wanted to take something there. But it was, the fact that I had to go look up who was Peyton O'Leary, like I had to go look that up, and he got a pass from a guy named Davis Warren. That's where it's like, I know that the Wolverine helmet and all that stuff and the block M is important, but I don't like. It was like playing UCLA. Like they had no one on their offensive side of the ball, but. To your point, I think that's there. The pick, because I can tip picks now. The pick I would have taken for that I had on my board was the CBS intro music.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of.
It's there. Yeah, like that was what I probably would have taken to represent the Michigan game. Okay. Okay, so I hate having the last pick. Mr. Irrelevant in our draft, because I'm going to pick something you guys are going to be like, oh, you should have taken this. And so I know that's going to happen. But I'm going to do something that's a little bit, there's two I'm choosing from. And I'll tell the second one later. But I'm going to take Pond's hit on Ty Simpson in the Rose Bowl.
And not going to slide. He's going to stay on his feet. Lost the ball as he was hit.
I have that one.
Yeah, it was on the board.
Because of what that represented. Like D'Angelo Pons, who was criticized so much of being too small and blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, Alec is the D'Angelo Pons propagandist on this podcast, but like all that element to it. And then SEC and Ty Simpson. And even though like we laugh at Orlovsky, for 9 weeks, it was like, is Ty Simpson better than Fernando Mendoza, the SEC, blah, blah, blah. And just to hit him that hard, it consequently knock him out of the game. Turnover, which IU was in charge of it, or just took complete charge of that game, is something that I think I wanted to take. The ones I was deciding from that game was the fourth down call by Kalen DeBoer that Cignetti stopped. Stopped.
Yeah, running out, timeout, back in.
Yeah, that was it. But the other one outside of there was the Lee Corso game day moment. That was really, really good. The problem with that game, that whole thing though, that I couldn't take it was, and I loved McAfee's speech and like the Indiana fan, like it was against Washington. It was on the Big Ten Network. Like it wasn't like it didn't end up being a national game. So that's why I didn't take it there. But that ends my draft with the Pons hit on Ty Simpson in the Rose Bowl. Woo! Great draft, guys.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that was good. Let's run through some honorable mentions, and we can go pretty quick through here and react. Tim, why don't you go ahead and go through your honorable mentions first?
I mean, we're on a podcast with more ball knowers, so I am not surprised in some ways, but I had way more memes and GIFs on my board. Like, I cannot believe we did not take Cignetti bending side to side in the national championship game. Like, that's going to get used by political presidential candidates in a year. Like, that unbelievable moment,
it, right?
Oh, nice.
I mean, so many Cignetti faces, but to me, one of my proudest moments is the Rose Bowl conference, which you took, Galen, but like it's Cignetti learning that the best chant is hoo Hoosiers and not go IU. Like, thank you. Let's just roll with that. That's a good one. It's pretty distinct to us. Like it is like whatever, like that was for me. So I thought we would have some more memes or GIFs are in there, but like those two were my big, like, wish they got on the board somehow.
If I can go,
Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, I had like, again, I told you guys, I had like the old school type blackout where Frank just goes on this tangent and I just wrote down a bunch of stuff like stream of consciousness immediately. I had the Go IU chants for Cignetti, the one he did at Northwestern, because I was like right in front of him essentially. Like he was just came up and was doing it right in front of us. That one, I had, where is it here? Oh, I thought. One of the ones I was going to pick, but I thought it would get kind of poo-pooed, was the Brendan Franke hitting 2 56-yard field goals at Autzen in the elements. Essentially, there's a timeout called. He hits the first one. He just drills the second one, like without much fanfare. And that was a huge moment in that game. I thought that the throw by I didn't want to pick again, but like the most NFL throw that you're going to see on the highlight tape for Mendoza when he's drafted number 1 is a throw from the left hash to EJ Williams, like between what Carson Beck tried to do in the national title game, but doesn't have the arm strength to do. Is what he did. It's just one of the, and it was like crazy coverage. If you hear some of these guys talking, Chase Daniel had a good breakdown of it. I thought that there was a Charlie Becker catch against Penn State. I also wanted to mention, like, I have this at the bottom just because there's like honorable mention, does this work type thing. It was Taven Jackson. Like, he wasn't the reason IU won, but his play in that game, and that was a huge situation. I thought that just him coming in and winning that game, and regardless of the stats, I also thought like the win against Maryland. I thought that was a big win because it was kind of back and forth, and then IU took over. And then what ended up happening from that game is IU gets Roman Hemby. And I thought that Roman Hemby, although Keelan Black kind of stole the thunder as the season went on, Roman Hemby, he was a dog, man. I mean, that dude, he had the most carries. He had a really good season. He didn't have probably the breakout runs that he wish he had. Okay, really quickly, Devin Boykin strip sack. I thought that was an awesome one at Maryland where he just like takes the ball away from the freshman. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Washington,
yes, thank you. And the Fisher interception against UCLA where I think that was like this. Was that like there was a blitz and he just
second play? It was.
No, I was going to say that people were doing conspiracy theories that IU was stealing plays, and one of the plays was Maeva making a terrible read and just throwing it right to people were literally doing conspiracy theories saying that IU was stealing plays because of the interceptions they had on the first drives of games. So anyway, I thought that one was really, really a good one too.
I'll jump in real quick on these. So you guys got several that I had in my honorable mention list. Isaiah Jones' interception at the tail end of the Oregon game, which is the play that I would point to there, because that was the moment where we were like, all right, we actually did this. Yep. We actually went into Austin and won. Brian Haynes winning the Broyles, even though it didn't have the excitement because the ceremony lasted 6 hours.
What is Trent that,
I discovered. But what an amazing moment for IU as a football program to have the National Assistant Coach of the Year. Two that probably sound self-aggrandizing, but meant a lot to me. The Stampede to Pasadena, which Trent talked about earlier. It's like it was really more the reaction that people had all over the country, like the level of social media engagement that came off of that, and how many IU fans were out there. Who I had 500 people ask me as I was walking around the Rose Bowl, "Hey, how was the drive?" I was like, "How did you even know about that?" that whole event just escaped contain. The other was the entire post-game celebration outside of the stadium after the national championship, which started at the Intercontinental Hotel in downtown Miami. I got there at like 1:30. It ended for me on the beach in Sunny Isles Beach at 7 a.m. with the sun coming up, with a glass of champagne and some friends that were staying with us in the Airbnb. Alex Paul, Gracie Barr, Stefan Kreise, they were all there. Like that whole thing was just like, that is its own separate moment, but it's a 7-hour-long moment that I just was awake the whole time. Amazing. So those were the ones I would throw in the mix.
Alec.
A little surprised nobody took Pat Coogan Rose Bowl MVP. I mean, I guess you could loop that into the Rose Bowl celebration or whatever, but I thought that moment just kind of like, if you want to pinpoint another, like, what was this team all about? It's the center of the team winning the MVP in the Rose Bowl when you smack Alabama. But that was incredible. To Tim's point about not having, I was getting to the memes. The top of my board was just available. But clown shoes from Brian Haynes, I thought was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Are you having fun yet? When Mendoza throws the pick and he jogs off the field and Cignetti is like, smile a little bit, right? The Fisher pick six I had. The Penn State intro, when they're like, how do you feel like Indiana's never won in the stadium? And Cig's like, this team has never played here. Yeah. That was absolutely incredible. Cignetti's opening presser, not the I win Google me, but the line where he's like, we're going to change the culture, the mindset, the expectation level, and improve the brand of Indiana Hoosiers football. And he goes into like, we have a plan and a blueprint in place and we have the people, and basically just told everybody what was going to happen. His media day quote from the first one where he's like, Johnny, we don't want to be fourth best. Like, bullshit. We want to be number one. Yeah. Speaking of Eddie Catone, the thank you Nebraska first extended highlights it's still one of my all-time favorite things that's ever been released on Indiana Twitter. When he goes nuts and releases the extended highlights every week, it's like the highlight of my week. B-Town Moose creating the physical IFAP.
Yeah.
That moment, and I have a physical IFAP in my room, like one of my prized possessions. Going on McAfee and saying we're going to go to an old stadium to kick somebody's ass, talking about going out to the Rose Bowl for UCLA. Brian Haynes signing his second extension to really just not go anywhere. And then
you guys love second extensions over here.
I love because it's not just we spent it. It's like, no, we doubled down. I love the commitment. And then this one didn't make my numbered list, but it actually made my honorable mentions. Was the beginning of last spring, Aiden Fisher absolutely blasted the young guys on the team. He's like, these guys don't have the right mindset. Like, they're coming in a little bit entitled, and he knocked all those guys down like a peg or two. And it just spoke to the leadership that this team had internally and just the type of person and player and teammate Aiden Fisher is. And I'm just going to tell it like it is. Like, he's not going to, just because like you're feeling a little bit of the smoke and this team was really good. It's like, no, nobody's earned anything yet. Like, it's February, it's March, and it's all earned in the weight room. And I think that set the tone for the season, is like Aiden Fisher stepping up to his first press conference. It's like, these young guys don't get it. It's like, wait a second, what? That was tone setting for sure.
All right. I'll wrap it up here. I can't believe like no one even has mentioned this. Surratt's touchdown against Ohio State. Like, that was like, I mean,
I have that one on here.
That was huge. And Joel Klatt's like, where's Surratt? And like, he immediately catches the touchdown that fade
before the play.
Circled him. Yeah, that was a beautiful.
Ironically,
and
if you watch the ESPN broadcast of the 4th and Mendoza, Herb Street circles Surratt again, and I was just kind of like, I was actually going to mention this. It kind of like not ruins the play, but he circles him, and it's like, that's not what happened, bro. You just got you. I don't know. I
have to clip when I clip it. I have to clip it after that circle.
Yeah, for me, like Herb Street's one of those guys. He's a divisive guy, in my opinion, about with IU.
Yeah.
Can I just get one more in here? The Pond's 43.5-inch vertical. That was on
nice.
my list. That happened
the combine
yesterday.
one. Happened. Talk about recency bias.
There you go.
Yeah,
but I thought that was a huge one because it shows that IU is like, they have players. People kind of poo-poo.
They develop.
Yeah.
Right. They develop guys. Like this is not just they're getting the best guys. They develop the athleticism. They take the right guys. So I thought that's what that kind of signified to me. So sorry, I had to throw that one in there.
There were 3 that I like was thinking about taking and way to take it, but Indiana fans taking over the Rose Bowl and like having no Alabama fans there, Indiana fans taking over the Peach Bowl and literally no Oregon fans there. And obviously taking over Miami's home stadium and having 65% of that was going to be one of my last pander to the fan pick. Hoosier the Bison dropping in undefeated.
Oh yeah,
Hoosier Bison
dropping in from a plane was I can't believe I didn't have that actually.
Incredible. Invading the field at Autzen. This is a little bit personal, I guess, because it wasn't really on TV as much, but like we got to go down onto the field, and something Oregon does all the time, like after every game, but it still was like a shock. I mean, I saw Galen there. I saw, Connor Hitchcock at home field. Like we were all just like, oh, like I cannot believe this happened. And then the other one that from my Nebraska game, because I tried to take stuff from 2024, the headline by the Mike Farrell pod that says Matt Rule's Nebraska crockpot recipe will outlast Curt Cignetti's microwave. Like that was going to be my moment that lives on the internet. And then of course Kirkwood and Dunn starting. Guys, come on, Cignetti era. Yeah,
we really missed that one.
It was like, this wasn't on my board.
The only thing I haven't heard mentioned was the Shalubies.
Shalubies.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's another really
I
good
will
one.
say there will be a draft topic coming up that's like internet moments for IU, and I'm sure that will get drafted. So,
there's only the one thing I want to say I'm glad that nobody picked, which is I'm glad that nobody picked Curt Cignetti. That's my personal vendetta. Not that guy, no way. If you were around the north end of the Peach Bowl before we were walking in, you might have heard me yelling some things.
Hashtag send tips.
This is not.
Hashtag tips. Yep.
This is Kirkwood and Dunn is not a Curt Cignetti podcast. Let's put it that way.
Alec.
I may have helped push this forward a little bit when I saw him out at the UCLA game, and I was like, let's grab a picture. It was before the send tips thing. I thought it was cool.
Okay, so I'm going to read for the people listening at home. I'm going to read everybody's pick. So this is the time that you guys are going to write it on your phone. I'm going to use my notes app to just who I'm voting off of this draft board and not going to make the graphic. But I'm going to read it at home while you guys vote, and then we'll reveal. Alec had 4th in Mendoza, Miami's national championship run, 3rd in Charlie, Ohio State clincher, Mikel Kamara's block punt, Curt Cignetti's second extension, and Mendoza's resurrection after the Caden Curry hit. Jamie had Cignetti's raising the college football trophy after the game, the college football national championship trophy after the game. The quote, Purdue sucks, so does Michigan, Ohio State, or than the whole speech of the basketball game. Big red carpet, Pond's interception against Washington, Elijah Surratt's game-winning touchdown against Iowa, and Charlie Becker's 4th and 5 catch against Miami. Tim had Fernando Mendoza wins the Heisman Trophy. I win Google Me from the opening press conference. D'Angelo Pond's block punt against Illinois. Surratt's touchdown during the Oregon regular season game. Fernando Mendoza commits to Indiana. Galen had Big Ten title game podium, Aiden Fisher singing moment, Cooper catch at the end of the Penn State game, Rose Bowl trophy lift, Sean Asbury, the second interception against Nebraska, and Fisher's tackling Peyton O'Leary to clinch and win the Michigan game in 2024. I had Jamari Sharp's interception of Carson Beck, Pond's interception of the Peach Bowl, Brett Bielema's bending over at the knees against Illinois after the Elijah Surratt touchdown, Cignetti's emerging superpower of college football, and Pond's hit on Ty Simpson in the Rose Bowl. I'm going to write down my vote. Let's go. Hopefully you all have it written down. Tim, go ahead and reveal who you're voting for first.
Not who I would vote off, but my first.
Yeah, who you're voting off.
Yeah. My Alec is my number one pick.
No. Voting off. Who has the worst one?
Oh, you do.
Okay, so Tim's voting for Trent. Galen.
I'm also voting for Trent.
Okay, Alec.
Trent, I'm sorry. I'm also voting for Trent.
All right. Jamie.
Adios, Trent. See you, buddy.
Okay.
Podcast. See you later.
I voted Galen. That is that. Thank God, because I think probably I would have voted for myself too, especially after your all's reaction to the Burt pick. But and I thought Galen was there. If Galen would have been voted off, that would have been the worst content, streaming thing ever. I need Galen to retweet this, not get voted off on the graphic.
This means war. Yeah, no, they wouldn't have.
Okay, so if you are watching on YouTube and Spotify, you will see a QR code pop up. Use your phone to do it. I'm not bearing the link anywhere because I want to give you a chance to vote for those four before everyone else gets a chance to. And then we'll put this out on social media. Follow at Kirkwood and Dunn on X, Twitter, all the platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, all that fun things. Please do that. And you can vote in our polls that we'll put out on that. And we'll put it out and reveal the winner in the middle of the next week. Guys, this is our 100th episode. It was a long one. That's why we're only doing one. We really, really appreciate you guys coming on and reliving a lot of these moments with us.